Surprise, Bath & Body Works has got us again with a revamp and reintroduction, at least in test stores, of the Around the Globe Destination Candle Collection. As you know, there were 6 candles that came out late fall that were some new, some repackages, some just revamps or reblends of candles that were for cities and countries around the globe. There was London Calling, New York, New York, Meet Me in Tahiti, Caribbean Escape, Moroccan Market, and finally Paris Daydream. They were in stores for a short period of time, not a full season, maybe about 6 to 8 weeks. Some of them were very popular. Everyone loved London Calling. It seemed that Paris Daydream, as always, was fairly popular, as well as Meet Me in Tahiti. There were, definitely sort of scents for everyone there. I liked most of them. I didn't love all of them. I didn't purchase all of them. Personally, I was disappointed that Caribbean Escape and Paris Daydream were coming back again when we've seen so many versions of them, including Caribbean Escape in the current spring line. So there really was no need to have that back then. We thought that was sort of the end of it, although I always suspected that we would see London Calling come back because that was the smash runaway hit of that series or collection of 6 candles. And so we just got word recently from Teresa's Bath & Body Works Insiders blog, as well as Little Balladeer's YouTube channel, that they were re-releasing, right now in test stores, I assume wide at some point, the Around the Globe Destination candle line, this time with some returning scents from the last collection and some new scents, and they dropped a couple. So right now in some test stores, you've got these 4 brand new, or we'll see if they're brand new, candles, as well as 4 returning, I suppose you could call them returning favorites from last falls at this point, 3 months ago, from that original collection. And the returning scents are Caribbean Escape, surprise, surprise, Paris Daydream, London Calling, which I'm super happy about, and Meet Me in Tahiti. I really enjoy Meet Me in Tahiti. I did a review of that collection just a couple videos ago, really, and it's a really nice mix of white sands from last year with some extra vanilla added to it. Paris Daydream is, the Paris Daydream Flirt, Sparkling Icicles, somewhat oceanside mix that we've seen over and over again. So that one, even though I loved it, a year ago, I'm kind of over it at this point. Caribbean Escape, again, I'm over it. We've had so many, re-releases of that over and over from the past couple of years, and I didn't love it in the first place, so that one I'll pass on. But again, London Calling, love it, wonderful, iced tea scent that really is incredibly strong with a great burn. Now, they dropped from that collection New York, New York, and Moroccan Market. Now, Moroccan Market was weird. I liked that they tried something that wasn't just sweet or floral or a tropical escape. It was kind of a heavier, there were spices, there was, I believe, some patchouli in there, there was some clove. It was definitely a darker fragrance, which I enjoy when they, explore in that direction. And the New York, New York, I didn't personally enjoy because it was a weird mix of apple with golden amber. It just smelled dirty to me. I actually have both of those candles and I haven't burned them yet. So I'm not surprised they're gone, especially if we're looking more towards a late spring or summer release for the version 2 of the Destination Around the Globe collection. But so those are gone. So at this point, it's going to be a collection of 8 candles versus 6 last time. So again, London Calling, Meet Me in Tahiti, Caribbean Escape, Paris Daydream. Same old packages from last fall, the same label, same notes, same everything, essentially just, for all we know, leftover stock that they're just, pushing and creating additional stock of, as well as these 4 newbies. So I'll give you a quick close-up here of all of them, and then I'll give my in-depth notes and comparisons to other scents, because as we know, when we're looking at specifically a tests collection, but really any collection of candles from Bath & Body Works, the first thing you have to do is really put on your investigative nose and try to compare to past scents, because quite often, especially in recent months, many of their scents are repackaged versions of past scents, just with new marketing, or slightly reworked versions of their past scents, which can be good and bad. If it's a scent that you loved that was gone, you never thought you'd smell again, and it's back, you'll love it. But if you're like a lot of us who are sort of the people who collect many scents, and like to find new things. It's not that impressive when it's just the same old repackaged. So this is sort of a mix of both sides, and I'll get deeper into that with the in-depth sniffs of these. But first, just let's start with the 4 candles. So we've got Malibu Heat, Sunsets and Surfboards, Rio Glow, Sizzle and Samba, Sea to Santorini, Blue Water and White Sails, and finally Aloha Waikiki, Hulas and Hibiscus. So general overall impressions of the marketing, that's generally how I start my review of the candles, is I didn't love the labels when I first saw them back in the fall, and they have those weird sort of embossed stickers on the lids. But the more I see it, the more I like them, because especially when I compare it to sort of the retro South Beach collection of the Paradise candles that are out now. Some of those labels I really think are kind of ugly. The Pink Sangria and Bahama Fizz and Palm Beach Cooler. I don't really love those. This is sort of, a little mix of, I like the real photos that they're using. I think it's interesting that the candle has a name and then generally two words or phrases to be somewhat descriptive of the mood they're going for or the notes in the candle, as well as the actual notes from the bottom, which usually vary slightly from whatever it is. It could be tea and lemon, which is actually what the candle for London Calling is. And then you've got something like Malibu Heat, which obviously there's not sunsets or surfboards in the candle scent. But it still, it shows you what they're trying to evoke and the mood that they're going for, or the type of scent. So I think that's interesting. The font, everything, it for the most part works for me. There's nothing overall from looking at the new collection of 8, so 4 plus the 4 returning. I don't think they're really anything, for lack of a better word, groundbreaking. Obviously, their candles, their fragrances, it's not going to be truly groundbreaking, but there's nothing that is super surprising or incredibly unique or amazing. I think the last time that they've done that, for me, in my opinion, would be really with the Forest collection that kind of was a failure as far as, it not going wide. Those were scents that there was nothing like any of them. They were 8 scents that really you had never smelled before from Bath & Body Works, aside from really the Wild Vetiver, which had come out as a test scent earlier in that year. So that really impressed me. I liked that a lot, even if the scents weren't something that you necessarily would burn all the time or were super must-haves. Beyond that, I like the Aromatherapy Home collections that they tried. Those were all, for the most part, the original collection from fall 2011, I believe it was, were very unique. And then, actually, the Boardwalk collection last year with Seashore and White Sands and Suntan, Summer Boardwalk, for the most part, those were really new, unique scents. And since we're not having that collection return, we are seeing many of those scents in the other collections. Suntan became Poolside. White Sand became, I believe, the Meet Me in Tahiti with a little extra vanilla added to it. White Sands plus Vanilla Flower. Oceanside returned as just a part of the Paradise collection. We haven't seen Summer Boardwalk. We haven't seen any of the food ones, really. The Saltwater Taffy, the Root Beer Float, and the Ice Cream Shop we haven't exactly seen. But for the most part, the ones that really stuck out and were popular sort of have been integrated into this spring and summer's new collections. But again, I'm getting off track here, but forgive me for that. So let's just get right into these candles to talk about what's new, what's old. So first up, Malibu Heat. So we've got Malibu Heat, and you've got an image that I hope, is of Malibu, California. It could be anywhere, since they use stock photography for the most part, but let's say that it's Malibu. And you've got the label there, just sort of a geometric pattern. The notes: a fresh blend of juicy pineapple, California orange, and creamy coconut milk, inspired by 27 miles of beautiful beach, California dreaming. Now, what is interesting is that Malibu Heat was a seasonal signature collection fragrance last summer that does not appear to be returning. Of course, who knows, really, this summer. I honestly, I don't get much of the signature collection at all. I buy the hand soaps, and for body washes and things like that, I generally just stick to the aromatherapy line. Sometimes I'll get, things from the holiday collection like Twisted Peppermint. But the general signature line, I sort of just stay away from as far as the most of the shower gels and the certainly the lotions. I'm just not a fan of that lotion at all. But so Malibu Heat came out last year. I may have smelled it once, but I really don't remember what it smells like, so I'm not going to be the best person for comparing this to what it was like last year. So I'll just give my sniff and describe it. Now, when I compared the notes to the listing I found online for last year's Malibu Heat, the notes are the same, right down to the inspiration by the 27 miles of beach. It's nice. I will say overall with all of these, before I get through them, they're a little bit more subdued and calm, more so than the typical summer beach collection where you've got the in-your-face island of margaritas, the in-your-face poolside, which I love, your sort of in-the-face Caribbean escape. The way the wax on those candles and the labels kind of show you they're big, they're bright, they're colorful, they're more obvious, whereas these are a little bit more subdued, maybe a little more sophisticated in their blends, not quite so orange and pineapple. It's really a little bit more of complexity or subtleness with these blends, which I appreciate. With that being said, this one is my least favorite. I'm sort of going in my order of least to best favorite. So it's supposed to be pineapple, orange, and creamy coconut milk. I don't really get much pineapple in the way that you do with, pineapple orchid, pineapple mango, any of the summer scents that have pineapple in them. I don't really get much of that. I get a little bit of orange, but if I smelled this, I wouldn't say, oh, that's an orange candle. So that's what's kind of puzzling me. I suppose I get some coconut milk, but again, I wouldn't call this a coconut candle. It doesn't have the milky creaminess or sort of warmth that I get from coconut leaves. So it's kind of weird to me. I suppose that it's, it must have many more notes and layers to it because at one point it was, a signature collection item. I'm sure it had much more to it than just pineapple, orange, and coconut. Obviously, it's more complex than that. Not necessarily in a good way because it's not particularly strong, or I'm not transported when I smell it. To be honest, it's one of those scents that I'll keep it, I'll burn it, I'll probably layer it with other scents, and it'll be great for that. As sort of a base scent to be added to. But if I wasn't doing the videos, I probably wouldn't have purchased this on my own. Because it doesn't give me a lot. There's actually something kind of strange about this. I hesitated to mention it because it could just be my nose, and it might not be something that everyone notices, but there's actually something about this that smells like sort of like a musty sponge. If you've ever had, and this is disgusting, if you've ever had a sponge in your kitchen sink that got waterlogged and the water wasn't rinsed out of it, and within a day or two it smells like that really sort of intense kind of musty mold, I'm getting that in a weird way. Now I will say I don't have sponges like that anymore. I generally use a dishwasher or have I have a sponge, but it's in a caddy, so I squeeze it out and it drips dry, and I replace it regularly, as everyone should. But we've all smelled that scent before in a sponge, and I get some of that, like a little bit, sort of a mustiness to it. That could be some odd, floral note in there, or something that is just coming across strange. But I get that. So definitely my least favorite. But if you really enjoyed the body care last summer, maybe you will like it. So we'll see. Next up, moving on, is Rio Glow, Sizzle, and Samba. Now I love the sticker on this lid. It's like kind of reptilian looking. It's like ocean waves, pebbled, nice colors there. I love that. I think it's really great. The photo is it's very dark. It's a little bit hard to check out there. It does seem to be, ooh, come on, Rio de Janeiro. Here we are in Brazil. Sizzle and Samba. And the notes on this one: a tantalizing blend of tropical mango, papaya, and guava, as vibrant as Rio's Carnival, Samba till sunrise. So, we're supposed to get super fruity. So instantly, smelling it, I was thinking, okay, is it going to be like a Caribbean salsa or island nectar or some other fruity scent that maybe isn't returning this year or something like that. That's another thing when you're smelling these scents. It's kind of like if they're bringing, if there's 25 candles and 20 of them are from last year and there's 5 that they didn't bring back in their original form, there's a good chance that they may be repackaged into something else. And so that's what I was thinking when I sniffed this. Now, I like this one more. It definitely is a little bit sweeter. It's the thing that's, again, strange is it does not have the intensity at all of an island nectar, really even a Caribbean Escape or a pink sangria. It's not obvious at all when you smell it. You don't instantly say, oh, I smell this, this, and this. I like it. It's a light fruit. It is somewhat sort of tropical smelling. Let me lay that down while I pick it up, see if something to look at here. It's kind of calm, kind of like a hot summer night, so it's not a bright daytime scent almost. There's something somewhat kind of milky to it. Mango, papaya. It's not heavy on the mango like pineapple mango or mango cilantro, which was, one of the best. There's a little bit there. Perhaps the papaya is making it a little bit creamy. I think papaya sometimes comes off creamy. And I get a little bit of that guava, which I've learned more about smelling the eucalyptus mint and guava candle. It's nice. It's light fruit. It's not really a must-have. Oddly enough, in trying to compare this to past scents, the closest scent that it reminds me of, surprisingly, I don't know why, is Pineapple Orchid, which I have here. I'm not a huge fan of it, so I actually only have it in the single wick. I bought it when there was a sale on the 2 for $10 for the single wicks a week or two ago. I had it in 3-wick years ago, and it took me, I think, 2 or 3 summers to go through, so I figured I didn't need to buy it again. Now, for me, Pineapple Orchid is super candy bubblegum. It's sweet, sweet floral, kind of one-note floral. The notes on it are pineapple and orchid. As basic as it can get. I don't really even get that much of a pineapple. It's more like a sweet bubblegum. Like, it really is bubble yum, bubblicious. Not sure which flavor, but to me it's just super, super candy sweet bubblegum pineapple with floral. So that's Pineapple Orchid, and I get a lot of that with Rio Glow. Now, it's not as intense, and it's not as sweet, but perhaps, it's sort of, sorry, I'm trying to make it a bit brighter here. Perhaps it is the same pineapple that they're using with the two of them. There aren't really florals in the Rio Glow that I can sense, but it's got a little bit. I'd say it's like related, to Pineapple Orchid, but it's certainly not the same thing. Not a repackage, maybe not even a reformulation. I'm just doing this more to compare. If you like one, you'll probably like the other. But again, less intense than Pineapple Orchid. So that's Rio Glow, Sizzle, and Samba. Like it more than Malibu Heat. Don't completely love it. Next up, one that I was really looking forward to when I first heard the name, Sea to Santorini, which, as most people know, is in Greece. And they've got the blue and white, of course, Greece. Their colors, blue and white. A really nice photo here of, I assume from Santorini, just walking down a pathway there to the beach. You've got red flowers, and this is blue water and white sails, of course, blue and white. And notes on it are a refreshing mixture of neroli blossoms, seawater, and sparkling orange, inspired by a day of island hopping, ready for an amazing odyssey. So we're looking for neroli blossoms. Now, neroli is the blossom from the bitter orange tree. It's compared a lot of times to being similar to bergamot, but it is more intense, a little bit harsh, and generally said to be somewhat more metallic, whereas you get more of a lush, fragrant, softer scent in bergamot. So, now not a lot of people would call bergamot soft, so keep that in mind. With neroli, it's going to be more intense, pungent towards the front of the nose than a bergamot or just a standard orange blossom maybe. Plus seawater, which is always a confusing note, and then sparkling orange. So we'll see about that. Now, smelling this, it's a bit of a disappointment because it doesn't smell new and amazing. I don't get a lot of blue water or seawater notes to it. I get a little bit of sort of like the seashore air kind of, or beach grass kind of air, or refresh candle, that random sort of sea air that they tell you about. But it almost, unfortunately, I hate to say it, it's really close to a repackage of Oceanside, which bums me out. That's the one candle that I really can't get behind, which is strange because so many people say that Flirt, Paris Daydream, Oceanside, and Sparkling Icicles are the same. I can see why they consider them to be so similar, but I can't believe that they're the same because some of those I love and some of them I hate. I loved the original Flirt. I loved the original Paris Daydream. I hated Oceanside, and then, in fact, I returned it. It had poor burn last summer, and I didn't even buy another one. I didn't even bother. And then I liked Sparkling Icicles. So I just feel like there might be slight differences between the 4 of those, Flirt, Icicles, Paris, and Oceanside. And the thing to me that would be so weird is that if this is really close to an Oceanside duplicate, which wouldn't surprise me, it would be strange, though, that they would then have Paris Daydream in the same collection of, around the globe, if they're supposed to be the same scent. Like, I could see them having, Oceanside in the beach collection, and then, Sea Santorini being essentially Oceanside in this collection. They've done things kind of that, lame before, but I can't imagine them having the same exact scent with different names in the exact same collection of 8 candles. That would be ridiculous. But it's really close to that. Since I don't have Oceanside, I wanted to compare it. So I got this at the semi-annual sale, C.O. Bigelow's Ocean Scented Candle, which essentially I believe is probably Oceanside. Now when I smell this, sorry I'm a little shaky here. Ocean versus Sea to Santorini. There's a definite difference. So it's not the exact same. I would say Ocean, and let's assume that Oceanside is the same as Ocean, because I think it probably is, gives you more of there's an intensity, like an intense powdery note that makes it more like a men's cologne, whereas Sea to Santorini is a little bit more subdued than that, and maybe more like a perfume or a unisex cologne. Yeah, a unisex cologne, whereas Ocean would be more of a men's cologne. Again, we're talking very small differences here. Now, the Oceanside candle, last year's versus this year's, the notes they've said before, melon, crisp cucumber, watery greens. Let's see, it was watery greens, cucumber, melon. I don't know if they said lotus. I don't want to, give misinformation here, but essentially it was greens, sea air, cucumber, melon, and some sort of floral is generally what they say. And with this one, again, with Sea to Santorini, they're telling us they're really blossoms, sparkling orange, and seawater. So again, they're keeping it really light on what is in there. It's very, very similar to... it's similar to Oceanside. Again, I don't know. It could be Oceanside, though. I don't know. There's something else to this that gives it a little bit of... not really a sweetness, but there's a tiny bit more of a floral to it, I think. You've got... the similarities to it are that... yeah, they're not the same. They're not the same. They've got definitely that ocean air scent, whatever that note may be. And there is sort of the neruli, which is the intense sort of metallic, bitter oil orange scent that you're getting. More like if you were to squeeze the skin of an orange, it's that little spritz of oil that comes out of the skin, not the juice of an orange at all. Or if this is neruli blossom, it could even be the nectar from the blossom of the flower from the bitter orange tree. But there's just some sort of cologne note there. I'm assuming it's the seawater. I don't really get a sparkling orange. But again, I get a little bit of a sort of somewhat, maybe it's the water note, maybe. Yeah, I think there's air and water in this, in these notes. Again, it's hard to say what the difference is, but water is a little cooler, a little more blue, like they say blue water here. I like this. It doesn't wow me the way that I was hoping it would, though. It's quite similar, brother, sister to the Oceanside candles in that whole grouping of Paris Daydream candles and things like that. I'm hoping that my nose is just off and that someone else will be able to really get in-depth with this and give us the differences between... I'd love a comparison. Maybe I'll even try to do it myself, of like a sea to Santorini, to Oceanside, to Paris Daydream, to Flirt, to Sparkling Icicles, to really side by side try to see if there's a difference. I think I've got all of those except Oceanside, so maybe I can try to do that in a future video if anyone has interest in that. And also if you tell me what you sort of smell the difference between them, I'd love to hear that. So yeah, it's nice. It's, you know, it's your summery, sort of, again, oceany sort of candle. So again, but nothing changing, you know, it's nothing out of the ordinary that we're not used to. So, kind of how I feel about it. Last, my favorite one, kind of surprised me, Aloha Waikiki. And again, really, I'm surprised at myself. I'm really into these stickers on here. They're embossed, they're just, like, they're pretty, they feel good, they look good. They help the candles from being a little bit less slippery when they're stacked because it's got that little bit of kind of rubbery stickiness to them. A picture that we assume, a really purple picture that we assume, of course, is Hawaii. And they say hulas and hibiscus. Now, hibiscus, I'll get more in depth that in a minute, but hibiscus is a flower that is used, obviously the scent, but also used to make a beverage that's popular, you know, world over. And we see here an exquisite fusion of plumeria petals, tiare blossoms, and a hint of sugarcane that transports you to the big island, Aloha Paradise. Tiare blossoms, I was racking my brain. I feel like there's been a candle or two in the past couple of years that had tiare blossoms in it, or tiare petals, but I cannot for the life of me remember what it was. Now, smelling this, I get, if I get focus and light, oh, I really like this. It has sort of the idea that you get from the Oceanside ones, where you've got sort of a water note to it, or an ocean note to it, but there's a really nice sweetness. It doesn't have that intense punch that you get. There's no sort of cologne scent to this, for lack of a better word. You don't get that punch in the nose, sort of the, like, to make you crinkle your nose. It's sweet, but it's not overly, you know, it's not, certainly not candy sweet. The sugarcane, I don't know that that's what I'm smelling. I think I'm getting more of a floral, but it's not a powdery floral. It's not an overwhelming cloying floral. It's just a sweet, really nice, calm floral. Now, hibiscus, I hope that hibiscus is in it, because I think that's a really interesting note that you don't see a lot of. I actually have here, strangely enough, hibiscus flowers are often dried down and turned into just an infused beverage with just water and hibiscus flowers. If you have ever had the Starbucks passion tea, then you've had that hibiscus flowers. That's what turns the water that crazy intense sort of cranberry color. And this is actually what they look like. I had some, so I figured it would be interesting to show you. Yeah, not much focus. They look like just gross, dried up little flowers that are like intensely purple. And you just literally take a handful of those. They're popular in places like Mexico. Mexico, they call it Flor de Jamaica for Jamaica, because they're often grown in Jamaica. And you make a beverage out of them. And I did it here, actually, for you to show you. This is just hot water with maybe 4 of the flowers. And you see, in the past, like, 25 minutes, it has turned this, like, into, like, deep, deep cranberry-colored ink, essentially. Like, if I dip my finger in there, it is, like, you see, that is blood red. But it's the basis of the passion tea, if you've ever had that at Starbucks. It's actually very, very good for you to drink it unsweetened, just the flowers and water put together to make that tea. Not to get off on a major tangent here, I know this video is running long, but it's a diuretic. It's said to lower blood pressure, really, really healthy for you. I think it may help your metabolism a bit, but it doesn't have any sort of like caffeine, guarana, taurine, any uppers or anything like that. It's a very intense, most people prefer it sweetened. It's better if you don't sweeten it, and the more intense you drink it, the better. But it's got a flavor when you have it unsweetened, sort of a little astringent, kind of like a very intense cranberry, but not sweet, and more of a floral as opposed to a berry taste to it. But I really love it. I would drink this. Obviously, you're supposed to take the flowers out. You don't want them to get in there. But what happens is, from that gross, sort of dried up little state, they turn into. You can see this was, again, the lighting is horrible. I'm sorry. But you can see this was that's the entire flower essentially. And they actually, sometimes they candy them. They're used in alcoholic beverages sometimes. They're really they're used for a million things. But so I was excited to see, back on track, that hulas and hibiscus were part of this candle. And you can see how intensely colored they are. I dropped one drop there and it's like staining the windowsill. Now this candle, more importantly what we're here for, again, sweet, floral. It reminds me of two things. Again, it's not a straight up repackage, but it reminds me of two things. It reminds me a bit of Seashore. Now Seashore, I'm pretty sure that it came back as the White Bar No. 3 Refresh candle. Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure that it's almost exactly that. And the notes on this one were, excuse me here, I'm a mess today. Savor the feeling of the coast and blue skies with crisp water, lotus, bright citrus, and a touch of salt water in the air. And another one that it smells almost even more similar to my nose, is white palm, which is not returning this year, or does not appear to be returning. And the notes on that were like a warm Caribbean breeze, refreshing white palm leaves and dewy greens, combined with sweet peach blossoms. Now, smelling these three here, let's get, I know my videography has not been the best here in this video. So, Waikiki, yeah, it's really nice compared to Seashore. It's got, the thing that it's got that reminds me of Seashore is sort of that calm, slightly, again, the dewy note, like kind of a dewy green ocean note, like it's a little watery, but it's not a blue water, it's like a green water kind of note, where it's a little bit floral, but a little bit almost like aromatherapeutic, kind of almost like a little herbal to it. And then white palm is very nice. White palm's more perfume cologne-y, sort of, compared to Aloha Waikiki. Now, comparing the two of them, though, Aloha Waikiki is definitely much sweeter. I don't think from the sugarcane, again. I think from the tiare blossoms. And the plumeria, of course. But they are similar. The sweetness that white palm has is a similar type of sweetness. So it's not that I believe these are the same candle, or even necessarily the same basis, but this is more one of those times where if you liked one, you'd like the other. Because they hit sort of the type of floral, the type of sweetness, the type of, wet, watery kind of notes are very similar. I think like the same kind of family of notes. So that's why I compare this both to white palm and Seashore. I wish I could say more about it to really speak on the tiare or the plumeria notes, but in general I just really like this. I think it'll be really nice lit. Again, like a summer floral that will be strong but not overwhelming or overpowering. So that's that. Yeah, I know that this is probably not my best review compared to some of the other ones I've done, because it's a little all over the place, because these are not, I think partly because these are not, again, the most unique or the most really easy to tell what's in them. You sniff them and they're just kind of there. I'm trying to get you better light. I do apologize. I've been shaking this thing all over the place. Yeah, it's like, I wouldn't say any of them are really must-have. Favorite is definitely Aloha Waikiki. Sea to Santorini, I think I will like. The other two are kind of dull, but again, they'll be good for layering. They're a little more subtle than the other, tropical paradise scents that Bath & Body Works has in stores now. So it'll be interesting to see what they do with it, where they go with this. The line, I think, is interesting. It could be kind of cool for them to have this destination or cities, again, it's all marketing, but this sort of cities collection every season and change it to be, do more of, the summery scents in warm cities and do the cooler scents in fall and winter, but still have them, attached to cities and sort of that marketing and just that inspiration. I think that could be, if done well, could be very interesting. So we'll see what happens with that. I guess that's pretty much it. Again, so Rio Glow, Sizzle and Samba, Malibu Heat, Sunsets and Surfboards, Aloha Waikiki, Hulas and Hibiscus, and Sea to Santorini, Blue Water and White Sails. Again, if you have questions, please hit me up below. Let me know what you think about that idea I had for the comparison of Flirt, Paris Daydream, Oceanside, Sparkling Icicles, and now Sea to Santorini. Let me know what you think of that, and what differences or similarities you see in those candles. That would be super helpful to get me working on that video to see the notes in those. And before we hit 35 minutes, let me just run out of here. And until next time, take care.